Good morning, dear Dhamma brothers and sisters. I'm very happy to see you all here this morning to take part in today's Sangha Day activities. So we have a mixed group, and there was a very large crowd here this morning, which is also very joyous to see so many people gather together again. So today there are a few activities, and I've been invited to give a short talk. Today's talk is not going to be the normal length, just to give those who are a little bit new and who have not given much reflection as to our the place of the Sangha and our relationship as lay people, the laity, with the Sangha. So today I have prepared just this short talk to put everybody in the mood with this knowledge so that when we carry out the offerings and the activities later, we can do so with a knowledgeable mind. Knowledge is very important in the Buddha's teachings. We should always know what we are doing in terms of our spiritual or our religious development. We should not just do things because everybody says must do. No, we should always understand we are doing this for a specific purpose, and we can also have the freedom to choose whether we want to do it or not. There is no force in the Buddha's teachings. Because when you force somebody to do it, they are not happy. The mind is not free to make that choice. And so whatever they learn, they do not want to keep it with them. But if you have the freedom, you are able to make the choice whether you want to learn or not. Whatever you see, whatever you learn in the way of spiritual education, you will keep it with you. This is the way of how to learn in the best possible way, the optimum way for the development of the mind. So today's short sharing is called the significance and importance of the Sangha. What is the role of the Sangha? What does it mean to have Sangha in our lives? When I was young, I used to follow my grandmother, who was a very, very religious person. And she would take me to all kinds of different temples on different occasions. And some of these temples, they were very, because they were Chinese temples, there was a lot of burning going on, burn joss sticks, burn paper, burn this, burn that. So very, very smoky. So my early experience was that religion is very smoky. Full of smoke everywhere, which hurt the eyes. But later on, when I was had the opportunity to learn under some very, very learned Buddhist teachers, I found that it's not so. You can be religious without having a smoky environment. You can sit down here like this, and the only thing you need to do is to have a clear and open mind, to actually learn what is beneficial for us, what really will help us as human beings with a thinking mind on this religious journey. The subtitle is Appreciating the Noble Community in a Barren World. This word barren comes from the word bare, B-A-R-E, which means it is that nothing grows. If you have a bare landscape, that means there are no trees, no grass, no plants, anything. It's completely empty, barren. So if we do not understand what it is, Yeah, why is it also that we take the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha as our refuge? Why do we come here and recite Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami? We just recite. Yeah, we are in a barren environment. That means, although the words are coming out, there is no real understanding. So many people today, they live in this barren world. Yeah. And by that, I do not mean there are no buildings. There are buildings. And there are trees. There are houses. There are roads. There are highways. But the barrenness is a spiritual barrenness. The happiness, the joy of practicing a spiritual path, seeing what is good in others and ourselves, that is missing in much of today's world. That's why I say it is bare, empty, nothing is there. So many people lead their lives in this bare way. Yeah, they do not see other people as being their friends. They do not practice gratitude, which is the appreciation of things that are done for them. So without gratitude, it is barren. Without knowledge, our life is barren. Without understanding, we lead barren lives, empty lives. So because of that, we do not know how to relate to other human beings. We only see human beings as some other people that exist with us, and to some other people, these others, these other people, we must make use of them. So this is why we have so much distrust. People don't trust each other, yeah, in today's world. There are those who are very ready to hurt others in this world because they don't understand other people. So when we look at the world like this, it is empty of goodness. It is empty of virtue. So in this kind of world, we must know what we are supposed to do. So in organizing Sangha Day today, it is trying to open up the mind, focusing our minds on that which will grow in this barren world. Yeah, and I will explain more in a short while. So be in this mood to see, yeah, what we can learn today. Because we will later on invite the Sangha. We will also offer robes to the Sangha and other requisites to the Sangha so that their work may go on. This is what we want. Yeah, so that the Sangha and the lay people like us, we will continue our partnership. It is a very important partnership indeed. Yeah, one that has lasted 2,600 years. The partnership between the renounced people and the lay people. This is a partnership. The renounced people must have the support of the lay people. And the lay people must have the teaching of the renounced people. So in this way, we support each other. So this is something for us to reflect on, yeah, on this Sangha Day. Yeah, although I have also taken part in other activities, which in many other centers and temples, they call it Katina. So there are huge crowds. I have seen the Katina crowds. Many people want to offer robes on this day, but it is important that while you're offering, the right understanding, the focus is there in our minds, so that the most advantage can be gained by us. So everything stems from knowledge and understanding. And later on, if we can develop wisdom, it will be so much better, yeah, for our lives. So, what is this Sangha? The Sangha is, here I've written, the visible representation of the Buddha in the world. The Buddha started this Sangha. So when you see the Sangha, you are actually seeing the Buddha. Because these robes, the robes that they are wearing, the way that they are behaving, all these are the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha started this group of people. And many people don't know this. For more than 25 centuries, coming up to 26 centuries, longer than the dynasties in China, yeah, which is founded by the first emperor. It has been existing in this world. It is the longest continuous organization in the world. Can you think about that? What other group, what other society or organization has existed unbroken for 26 centuries? But the Sangha. They have continued their way of existence, their way of life, their way of study, their way of practice, smoothly, harmoniously, yeah, for 2,600 years, and has ensured the continuity of the Dhamma. Without the Sangha, we would not have the Dhamma taught to us. Because during the Buddha's time, they would memorize it. Yeah, there were no books to be written, because the Buddha's teachings all were committed to memory. All the monks had to memorize, the nuns had to memorize. So wherever they are walking collections of the Buddha's teachings. In Burma, especially Myanmar, there are these people who have memorized the entire teachings of the Buddha. Through memory, yeah, they can recite any part of the Buddha's teachings by remembering it. So there are very few of these. They are called the Tipitaka Dara, and I have met two. Yeah, it is quite an honor to meet them. One in Burma, one in Malaysia. He came and we offered dana to him. So which means to say, these people, when they are being tested, they have to recite the entire Tipitaka, which is voluminous, is huge. So many books, you know, the Sutta collection, the Vinaya collection, yeah, and the Abhidhamma collection. They have to recite, not in one day, in a few days. And they can only stop to think 3 times. If too long, come back next year. Yeah, they have to stop. They can't stop. And then they think, then after that, they must continue. Or else they cannot pass this test to be a Tipitaka Dara. So there have been a few of these people with fantastic memories who every day, while they are young, commit the Buddha's teachings to memory. So these are the people who have given us. Later on, we wrote, we put in books, we printed, and we put it on the internet as well. So you can go and do a search for whatever topic you want to find out about. This is due to the Sangha. The Sangha protected the Buddha's teachings and brought it to different parts of the world. Even though life sometimes was difficult for them, they had to cross deserts, they had to cross jungle, they had to cross sea to bring this Dhamma, you know, to other countries. They very happily did it. So, and it has survived without violence. The Sangha has survived without any fighting. Of course, we see sometimes, there are monks, who fight, but these are not the real monks. Yeah. Some journalists are very happy to put pictures of monks fighting. That goes to show that Buddhism is not so peaceful. But we do not fight in the name of the Buddha's teachings. We do not say we are fighting to protect the Buddha. No, these are people who suddenly get angry and go and do these violent things. But it could be political as well, but it is not religious. So we have to understand that, because there have been people who ask me, why do you say that Buddhism is so peaceful? And I tell them this, that no one has ever raised a hand, ever raised a sword, to protect the teachings of the Buddha. No, no one has ever done that. There are no armies, there are no weapons to protect the Buddha. So it has existed without violence, without armies, without financial resources. The Sangha are actually poor, they are penniless, they have no money, and yet they can survive. So you have to think, how come? How did they do that? Without money, without possessions, without any wealth, they can still do their work. Without political schemes. And we can see how religion and politics mix together in the wrong way as well. Throughout history, it has happened, but not in the name of the Buddha's teachings. So only through, how has it survived 2,600 years? Only through the effectiveness, the sincere practice of wisdom and virtue. It has survived so long. The yellow robes, of course there are some gray robes. People keep wearing them with wisdom and virtue for the past 2,600 years. And this yellow color is the protection. The virtue is the protection. The wisdom is the protection, not guns and tanks and bombs. So we have to reflect upon this. The Sangha has always existed, it's interesting, in close interaction with the lay community. So it is an interesting fact that if anyone here wants to become a monk or a nun, we say, I want to renounce. I don't want to be a home, a person with a home. I want to be homeless. I want to give up all my possessions. So I will renounce. The minute they renounce, it means they need the help of the lay people, or else they cannot survive. So we have to think about that. The minute you renounce, any one of you want to renounce, you are totally reliant on the lay community because you have nothing. You live in this world with no possessions. Where do these things come from? From us. We support them. Even though they say, I want to leave the home. So they need the lay community to support them so that they can go into, go and do their study and practice as much as they want. The Buddha intended this to happen. The Buddha designed and planned this. They fully ordained monks, and we have invited those monks to come today, cannot cook for themselves. They cannot go and grow vegetables and cook in their kitchen. The food that they get must always be provided by lay people. They cannot say, today, this is my menu. tomorrow another menu. They cannot plan in this way because they do not know what they are going to eat for that day. They will get up in the morning, yeah, and following the Buddhist practice, they will walk around the village and the towns, and whatever they are given by the lay people, that is their food for the day. So no cooking. They can exist, yeah, as Ajahn Brahm said in his monastery, there's a fridge. There's a fridge full of fruits and food and all kinds of things to eat. But he cannot open the door and help himself. Cannot. Some lay people must open the fridge, take it out and offer. Then only he can eat. This is the Buddha's plan, the design, to have that strong relationship between the Sangha and the lay people. So, what is the purpose of the Sangha? The purpose of the Sangha is to practice, to study and practice, to escape suffering, to go beyond these worldly entrapments, to go beyond all these worldly problems. This is the first objective. That's why the Sangha has been set up. If anyone says, I am going to strive for liberation, for freedom from suffering, they should join the Sangha. The second objective of the Sangha is to teach the lay people. They only have these two objectives. They do not have any other thing to concern themselves with, that the Buddha taught them. Any other things is extra. It's what they choose to do. But the Buddha said, these two are what I have set up the Sangha to actually do. So, yeah, right. So the Sangha provides the lay community with teachings and examples. They are the living examples of those who lead lives fully dedicated to the Dhamma and its entertainments. So, how do we value the relationship? In this collection called the Milinda Panya, and the Milinda Panya are collections of discussions between a young Buddhist monk and the Greek king called Milinda in the Indian language. In Greek, his name was Menander. There's a coin of Menander. He was the king of much of Pakistan and Afghanistan in those days, because he was brought there by Alexander the Great. And when Alexander went home, all these conquered or associated lands he left to his general. So Menander was a general who became a kind of a ruler governor. He was the governor of Pakistan and Afghanistan, which in those days were Buddhist countries. So if you go there now, you can still see Buddhist relics. And he was very interested because in the Greek tradition, as they were growing up, his education was about thinking of philosophy and life. It's in the same way as Alexander the Great. They were taught to think, to reflect, to debate, to question each other. So when he became the governor, he started to question all the religious people around at that time. And he kept on, because he heard about Buddhism, he kept on disturbing the Buddhist monks with question after question after question. So the Buddhist monks invited this young monk called Nagasena to come to that part, to go north. He was in the northern India, but then they invited him to go there and answer the questions of King Milinda. So today's sharing is from that collection. So if you are interested in what they were talking about, you can look up the Milinda Panya. So the king asked Nagasena, what are the virtues of the lay follower? Because the king is a lay follower. And the young Arahant, actually, he wasn't just an ordinary monk, he was an Arahant, very young of age. And he gave this answer. Number one, this lay follower, he shares the joys and sorrows of the Sangha. So if the Sangha is doing well, he is happy. If the Sangha is not doing well, he is not happy. So he places the Dhamma first. Then he enjoys giving according to his ability. And most of it would be to support the Sangha. If he sees a decline in the dispensation, the teachings, the sasana of the Buddha, he strives for its strong growth. That means if the whole community, who is trying to support, preserve, teach the Buddha's teachings, if it undergoes problems, the virtuous lay follower will immediately act in whatever way he or she can. He has right views, disregarding superstitions. He's not superstitious, doesn't burn things here and there, and omens, and will not accept any other teacher, not even for the sake of his life. And it goes on. And lastly, he goes for refuge to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Which means to say, as the refuge, as an umbrella, he does not look anywhere else. It is only the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha he will turn to whenever he needs any spiritual advice or counseling. So what does that mean? That means for us as lay people, because this was given to lay people, it means that whenever we think about improving ourselves, whenever we are insecure, that means we don't know what to do. We are afraid. There is fear in our minds. We turn only to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Last week, I gave a talk and I asked the audience, have you ever had a nightmare? Have you ever had a nightmare? And you're afraid in the nightmare. You don't like it. How many have in the nightmare started to chant, Namo Tassa Bhagavato? Have you ever done that? So that your nightmare will stop and become a dream. And in that audience, there were. And I have done it too. I suddenly realized I'm in a nightmare. I don't like this. I'm very, very afraid and scared. Let me start chanting. So I chant. And then the nightmare stopped. This is the refuge I'm talking about. You remember the Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha as your spiritual protection. So nightmares are one thing. The other thing is you have to study and you have to practice during your waking time, not during your sleeping. You have to really be aware of what you are doing as human beings. Develop the mind, develop peace and happiness in the mind. So one of the things that might happen is, and I have also come across people who have been very, very committed to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, even in their dying time. When it comes for them to end their life, they still want to think about the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. My father, when he was younger, in the later parts of his life, he suffered from Alzheimer's. But before it became too strong, he chanted every day of his life. Every day. He would chant in the morning and in the evening. It was his practice. So we can tell the time. Father is chanting, it must be 6 o'clock. He was regular. So when he then developed some lung problem, we took him to hospital and the doctor said he doesn't have much time left. So we decided to bring him home. So as he was breathing without the oxygen, he was breathing quite hard. The monks came, and so they chanted for him next to the bed. So he was listening to the chanting, and after the monks finished, we wanted to offer them tea. Yeah, he passed away. He was so happy to pass away after he had heard the chanting. So, if you can have refuge like this, yeah, it is very good for our lives to have that kind of deep reverence and dedication to the Dhamma. So, if we want to be good lay followers, these are the things for us to practice so that we can grow the Dhamma, yeah, in our minds and not be barren. In the Cetokila Sutta, the Buddha talks about the barren mind, the mind where nothing is growing. It is devoid, empty of good things. Cetokila means a place that, actually it means a place that very hard to get through. It's like a thick jungle, you know. When you go to the jungle without parang, you can't get through the jungle. So Cheto Kila means that it's difficult to get through it. You cannot move front, you cannot move back or the side. So the Buddha explained this as barrenness. You cannot grow anything because you cannot move. And when you cannot move, you cannot develop. So in this sutta, yeah, when he was asked, the Buddha said, these are the 5 things. If they do not exist in your mind is bare, empty, lifeless, nothing is growing. Number 1, if you lack the faith in the Buddha, you do not know how to go forward. You always stay, doing things that don't benefit you. Number 2, you do not have faith in the Dhamma. You do not accept the teachings. Now, these people with the barren mind. Even sometimes when you want to tell your friends about, the Buddha's teachings, I have learned a little bit. Yeah, can I tell you? Your friend will say, no. Yeah, let's go to Genting Highlands instead. The mind is barren. You cannot grow the Dhamma, the green freshness of the Dhamma in this person's mind. Number 3, he lacks faith in the Sangha. Even when they see the monk, they say it's a bad sign. When they see the bald-headed monk, bad luck, close the window, close the door. They do not know how to relate to the Buddha's disciples, the renounced. They just don't know. Yeah. Only if somebody in the family got influenced by ghosts of spirits, then only they go and see the monk. Yeah. Reverend, can you do some chanting, chase away the ghosts? That's what they want. Worse still, they go to the monk and ask for 4D numbers. Mante, can you do and give me some? They do not go to the monk to learn how to be better, virtuous people. So their minds are barren. They only know a little bit what they see in the movies. That's all they understand about the Sangha. So hopefully, we are not like that. We will be able to, we take effort to understand what this Dhamma, what this Sangha, this group of people are all about, so that we can do the right things in their presence. And even when they are not present, we can learn from them, support them, even encourage them. And there is lack of faith in the training, in the Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Yeah, there are many people who say, no, this is not the right way, this is not the right belief, this is not the right method. So they have no faith. They go somewhere else. There is also anger. This is the last one. And it's quite interesting. Anger and displeasure towards fellow Buddhists. Which means they cannot see the virtues of their own Dhamma brothers and sisters. Yeah, they start to find fault with those people that they are working with. So when you cannot see their virtue, you cannot see their wisdom, there are no plants, no shrubs, no trees growing. They are green and fresh, yeah, in your mind. You cannot see good things, always see bad things, always looking for their faults. You know, when you look for people's faults, you will be very successful. Sure. Because everybody here has got faults. But when you look for their virtues, it's a bit harder. But when you really look, you will find virtue, yeah, in our Dhamma brothers and sisters. Okay, so, and the important thing I emphasize here is the lack of faith in the Sangha. You know, as I said previously, when I did not understand the Sangha and what they were doing, they were just, you know, another group of religious people. But when I associated with them, luckily as a younger person, oh, I found so much inspiration in them. How they led their lives, good lives. They were so good people, you know, how they were developing wisdom, and they sacrificed a lot, yeah, for their objectives and their goals. Yeah, it's the more I learned about them, yeah, the more I became inspired by the Buddha's teachings. So in the Sangha, you can see the Dhamma. In the Dhamma, you can see the Buddha. Because the Buddha practiced Dhamma, he became enlightened. So these three refuges are together. And there have been Buddhas in the past. Buddha Gautama is not the only Buddha. There have been many, many Buddhas in the past. In fact, in our world cycle, there have been 3 other Buddhas before Gautama the Buddha. There will be one more Buddha in the far future. Please don't wait. Practice now. Because the duration from one Buddha to another is beyond our understanding. Yeah, and it is so great. The civilization that we have now will decay, and people will become very, 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 very unvirtuous and very wild. Yeah. And then everything that we have now as our civilization will disappear. Do you know all these things that we have built? You can see within 1,000 years, a lot of this will go back into the dust. And then they will go back into the elements within 10,000 years to 100,000 years. They will go back to become elements. And within 1,000,000 years, you would not know there have been civilization here. And after 1,000,000,000 years, the earth will have some people, but we cannot imagine the backwardness. And then it will start changing, become more civilized. Yeah? And the next Buddha, we are told his name is Metteyya. Then when people understand suffering, the next Buddha will come. If people do not understand suffering, it is not Metteyya's time to reappear, to appear. And after Metteyya, this world, as we know it, will come to an end. This is the cycle. has been explained by our Buddha. So, yeah, let me end with this reflection. Through the Sangha, yeah, and the way that they practice, we are filled with confidence and joy in the noble path, because these monks, and there are some who really follow the Buddha's teachings, yeah, to the details. They will not sit where they are not supposed to sit. They will not sleep in a place which is not specified in the Vinaya. There are monks who say from the gate to where they are sitting, it must have, don't know how many arms length. The monks cannot share the same roof with women. So even if you are downstairs, it's the same roof. They cannot sleep in that place. There must be a separate roof. Then only they can sleep. These are the very, very detailed rules of the Vinaya. So there are many monks who are like that. Yeah, they are not so, when they work with lay people, sometimes they must be more relaxed. But there are monks who are very, very careful, yeah, about the way they behave. So when we see those monks, we are filled with joy in the noble path. It doesn't mean that there is no Buddha, there are no more good monks. Yeah. There are no committed monks and nuns. They still are. So because of their work, because of their study and practice, this world will not be free, empty of the noble ones called Arya. The Arya are those who achieve the 4 levels of enlightenment. They are still enlightened beings in this world. I am convinced of that. I mean, I cannot see, but through their behavior and through their knowledge, I am convinced that there are beings in this world who are enlightened. Whether first stage, second stage, third stage, maybe even the final stage, Arahant. Now, I am convinced of that. But you have to make up your own mind. You have to mix with them. Yeah, to make your own assessment whether these people have reached these stages of awakening. They are our inspiration. Knowing that they exist, they still are here. Our lives are not barren. We have the opportunity to grow the trees of Dhamma, of understanding, of realization. We go to the Sangha to study and learn for guidance in practice. That's why you must make time to carry out your own practice so that you can live and practice what the Buddha has asked us to practice. To walk the path that they have walked, to see what they have seen, the realities, of this existence. This is what the Sangha is for. So therefore, the Noble Sangha is our worthy refuge. We can say, I will take the Sangha as my refuge with confidence. So these are not, in strictly speaking, these are not the normal Sangha. This is what we call the Arya Sangha, the Sangha of enlightened monks and nuns, because they see the truth, they see the realities of existence. Yeah, so therefore, they become our worthy refuge. Whenever we are in trouble, we can think about them, yeah, and our heart will be at peace again. With our minds full of gratitude and humility today, yeah, selflessly, we have the opportunity afterwards to pay our respects to the Sangha. Yeah, and we do it with humility. Yeah, we do it with deep gratitude for what they are doing, what they have given up, yeah, to do. So thank you for your attention.